Hey, welcome to my video on X4 Foundations. We're going to be covering station building, and I'm anticipating this is going to be a 3 video series, and these videos are probably going to be long, just because this is a very, very complex thing to cover. The date is April 11th, and we are currently working on build patch version 5.10 stable, not beta, build number 476551, just for reference for yourself. And I am running with mods, but nothing that affects factions, asteroid spawn rates, nothing like that. Turrets, anything. Everything I have is quality of life mods for myself. Nothing that would affect the factions or the galaxy in a way that will upset the balance. Really meticulous on it. If anybody wants, I'll go into the depth on that, but not right now. So let's go ahead and talk about this. This is a really, really in-depth, so please bear with me through these videos. It is ramshackle, and that's because my little thing I like to say at the beginning of my videos is that, hey, this is a video by a gamer for gamers, right? I'm not by a gamer for sponsors. I'm not looking for viewer counts. I'm looking to just help people with, with the game, and this is a very, very complex situation when you start talking about stations in X4. X4 is already an incredibly complex game. When you get into stations, you're talking about arguably the most complex part of X4. So that's going to take 3 videos. So we'll get into it on the first video. Like I said, we'll probably be going into just how do you set up a station. How do you set your grid up or your plot, and then kind of go over a little bit the Lego kind of construction thing, and then the second video will start getting in, really kind of biting deep into the different types of production modules and what you can do with stations, what you can't do, and then the third one will hopefully it'll be 3, it might even be 4 videos, but by the last video we'll be going into everything I've learned and things that maybe will really, really help you target things and make it hopefully mitigate some of that frustration that will come with building stations and trying to understand it, because it is very, very complex, and the interface looks really, really hard to understand, but they really once you understand the interface, you'll appreciate its beauty, because everything you need is right there, and it really could only be done kind of this way. If they did it any other way, it would even be harder to understand. So let's get into it. So as you can see currently, I'm on a 4-day save, so I've got 4 days on this save alone. This normally is not me. I'm usually on new saves. I always target prioritize. I'm sorry, it's natural videos, so if I have a cat or anything, or my wife coming or meow or anything, that's just how it is. Um, and I apologize all for it. But normally I would have a lot more money. I would have prioritized making money. Instead, I wanted to switch it up with the new DLC coming out. That being the Tides of Avarice DLC. I wanted to just focus on the story instead of just focusing on making money, and kind of regretting that, because that kind of hamstrings you in some ways. But it is what it is. The the economy, I'm very, very happy with Ubisoft. It seems like they have done a fantastic job with balancing. So there's always a drain on resources. Even if a faction gets taken out, they're not taken out. They're able to rebound. So where I'm currently at, even though I've not really been doing anything, it's still pretty stabilized. So I'm able to still insert myself at this late point of game. Now I'm very much, the reason my funds are so low is because I'm threading a thin line, and we're going to be talking about that when we get to the tips, tricks, maybe the second video. Um, I'm purposely, all my money is tied up in my base, and that's something you're going to have to understand. Whatever station you're currently building, it's going to be an absolute cash sink for a while. So, but there's a lot of tricks and there's a lot of stuff to go over. So let's talk first about how you create a plot. So from the map menu, uh, when you're on the map section, right, you can actually hit this little cartographer sort of thing called manage plots. Now, when you click this, you'll be brought up to a thing that looks like this. Now it'll show all the current plots that you have, right? So of course I have my main player HQ, and it's at max for all the different dimensions, but you can change it to your X, both positive, negative, Y, and Z. Um, and this is what ideally it kind of works. It's uniform. So if you want to create like a flat sort of zone, so this is creating the zone that you'll be able to build within. You can't build outside the bounds of this, right? So this creates a perfect kind of cube, and believe me, that this size of a cube is just insane. The amount of stuff that you could build in there. But maybe you want to make it really long and flat, so you would alter some of these variables to meet the kind of station that you're envisaging. But this works for me. It's more than fine. But what should be noted is these values, when you go to create a plot, so if I go to create, let's say, a plot in memory of profit, we'll just do it right here. So I go, boom, I want to create a plot. Whoops. So we go to create new plot, right? And we're like, hey, I want to put it here. Now you see the price, 64K, right? So let me go ahead and place that down. Now we can see that it's represented here. 64K, it's put a little temporary marker there, right? Now, the thing about this is if I have to buy the license for this, because it's owned by a faction, the greater the size, the more and more money it costs. So watch how this will start to go up, right? So if we take this to a max setting, okay, work with me. All right, and we'll move this up. See how it starts going up pretty. It's not too bad. I mean, if you have the money, it's really not that bad. I wish this game had a tax system or something. That'd be kind of cool. But okay, so for a max plot, 20 by 20 by 20 kilometers in size, you're looking at 8 million credits to buy that. Now you can just say whatever and not buy the license. Now I don't have enough money, so I can't do it right now. You have two options. You can buy the license, or you can say nope, and this will actually be seen as a hostile act by the government because you're basically seizing land in their territory without paying them. So keep that in mind. Now there is an exception to that rule. If you ever find a territory that is not owned by a faction, so the border is not highlighted, it's this gray neutral color, then you can build a station there. And you do not have to pay for it. A very good spot I would recommend for building a station is Napoleon's Fortune 6. If you build right there, as you can see, I have a max size cube. If we look at that three-dimensionally, that's how big that cube is. And if we want to take even a newer look, let's go ahead and X that out because we're not going to be using that. So let's take a look and we'll go to plan build. So if we actually look at the station on Napoleon's Fortune, I've been laying it out, right? Now this is when you go into plan build, this is where you start Legoing it out. Now I kind of moved it because you can actually move the box around as well and think three-dimensionally. So the reason I set this up is I want clear traffic to not be running into my station, and also to have my station have the ability to fire down and deal with any issues. So any attackers are going to have to make their way up, and I'm trying to set my defenses up in such a way that, you know, critical infrastructure will be at the top except for this admin center. We were talking about that in other videos, but and then these defensive platforms will be firing. Now, when you're building, a quick note on color. See, you'll notice that the modules are different color coded. Red indicates it's a defensive structure, meaning it's going to have turret emplacements on it. Also, they have a high capacity. They'll increase the amount of drones that, by a large margin, that can be deployed by the station, whether they're cargo drones, defensive. We'll get more into that in a second. Your admin center is a command and control. When you slap that down, you're making a declaration. You're saying, I want this zone. So if there are any other command and control centers or administrative centers in that area, you will now the area will be contested, right? It'll be considered contested. And you're basically declaring war on that other faction by doing that. So be aware, if you go to slap that down, you now declared war on that faction in essence. You're now fighting it out for control of that sector. That's what you're saying. So in this case, there's nobody else vying for this territory, so I want to control it. I want to be the guy, but I don't have the money to do this. I just did a basic layout. I'll probably modify this a bit. Um, but this will be a massive shipyard. By the time I'm done, it will be a fully closed loop system. We're going into that term here in a little bit, but it'll be a fully closed loop system, and it will be a shipyard. And I can tell you from previous plays, by the time you get to this point, once I have this station fully laid out and everything, it will be printing money at a ridiculous rate. But so this is like the basics of how this works. On the side here, when you go, so let's kind of go back over this again. When you're in your map, you can go to your personal property. So this way you can always see everything that you own, every single fleet that's deployed, every single ship. You need to scroll here. And then you can expand these and actually see individual information. This is important to note because you can have ships assigned to stations. So currently my scrap processing factory has what, 7 miners. It needs more, a lot more. I only have 1 trader. That's fine for right now. I'll probably add 1 or 2 more. And really, I have a tug for bringing in scrap, but he's just flying in circles. Can't seem to find anything right now, but whatever, I'll just leave him. He only costs me a couple million to deploy, so I'm not really too concerned about it right now. Him flying around is also garnering experience for him, which is fine. So I'll just let him do his thing. So yeah, you can expand this, same with your fleets, so you can see what's. Of course, this fleet is kind of garbage, but it's better than nothing, and I have it protecting this station. But you've got access to everything here. Now, contextually, you can right-click, and this is very important. This is where you can, well, if you have something selected, you're trying to interact with the other when you right-click. So because right now my fleet is selected, by right-clicking here, I'm ordering that fleet to do this. So orders for Astrid fleet, right, would be protect, but I'm already doing that. That's their current orders anyways. Or I could trade with whatever. So if you ever get kind of do that and you're like, wait a minute, why is it not doing that? Just click anywhere in the screen, left click once, it deselects. Now you right click and now you'll be able to bring up information on that individual. So instead of saying I'm clicking on this object, this fleet, the station, I wanted to interact with this other entity, instead deselecting it, now you're able to just say, hey, I want to see what I can do with this here. And you can bring up the information tab. Plan build was where you start legoing everything together. Logical overview. This is pretty crazy. I'm not going to do this on this. In the second video, we're going to get into logical overview. That's basically a flow chart. It's going to take a minute for you to really digest that. It's going to take a lot for me to explain that. And then you have upkeep missions. This can be very, very misleading, right? So assigning subordinates, it will try to tell you like, hey, it needs another trade ship. I already have a trade ship there, saying it needs more. That's not true. And we're going to get, it is trying to help you. I want to point out these upkeep missions are trying to help you target and understand what your station needs. But like here, he's saying transfer 18 million credits to them, but he doesn't need 18 million credits. We're going to explain that in a minute, why that's the case. But right now, if you just wanted to generically go with it, if you had the money, yeah, you could absolutely just boom, give him 18 million and say, hey, okay, I don't have 18 million, but I can absolutely still make this station work and get to the point where it'll be absolutely fine. And we'll get to that later in the second video. Now, getting back, we'll go to property owned. We got our station selected. Let's go to plan build. Now you can see when you're in plan build, every module that is showing up is actually rendered in and not a ghost image, is a completed entity, meaning it's got the turrets notably that you assign to it. So every single production facility, storage, everything usually has hard points on it for you to deploy lasers on it, or whatever turrets of your choice that you own. That should be noted. you have to learn these blueprints, right? And the only way you can do this is by one of two ways, actually. You can buy the blueprints from factions. It's going to require you to build reputation up with them, to a point where you can get that. The more complex and really hard ones are going to be extremely expensive. I mean, we're talking a couple hundred million for like shipbuilding facilities and stuff. So it really gets insane. Even for the basic production modules, right? So you have different modules. Think of these as like little tabs for areas, right? You could right now just ignore ventures. Maybe in another video I'll go into this. This is not needed for you right now. Don't worry about this. Other modules, just think of these as connectors for Lego blocks. These are generic blocks that just serve one purpose, and that is to enable other blocks to link together more efficiently. We have our processing modules, which has been introduced by Tides of Avarice. Looks like a little recycling symbol. You have, your basic scrap processor. So that's when you bring the scrap in and it gets sucked into it, and then it gets processed through this machine into basic scrap, right? And then it's processed up in one of two ways. So Terrans, I think, like to focus on Copytronic substrate. I might be wrong on that. Let's look at the encyclopedia. So if you right click, it'll tell you everything you need to know here. Yeah, this creates 300 Copytronic substrate, which in retrospect, I am absolutely going to convert to this. I'll explain this in a minute. So Copytronic substrate, it makes to product cycles 6 per hour, 300, so it's 1800 substrate. Every cycle will give, I think that's what that's reading out as. Let me see this. So it takes 75,000 energy cells, 6,000 scrap metal, and will pump out that much Copytronic substrate. Now, maybe actually I'll add 2 of these. I just thought about that. And yeah, we'll get into like one of the epiphanies that's come with the new DLC, in terms of money making. But yeah, this is really good for you to get kind of a generic idea as to what's going on, numbers and everything. And then over here, you'll have a little bit of a description. You may or may not want to read that. But let's just back up. Now, so yeah, we'll get into more of this on the second video. Defensive modules. It's exactly what it sounds like. Every single one of these, Administrative Center, we already covered that. We have, we can see in the upper right corner will be the faction. So of course the Teladi have their own, the Pyramid have their own, the Argon have their own. So you're gonna have all these different modules, right? I like Terran design, unfortunately for me, because it requires Copytronic substrate, which is extremely expensive to make. So I would, for your first phase, just go with a basic design, for whatever race you like. Just don't do the Terrans, because there's stuff, because they're so high tech, air quotes around my head here, they require some, super magical Copytronic substrate made from this facility right here. And that includes their turrets, weapons, everything. It's crazy. It's super expensive too. Dock modules, just what it sounds like. You have your large docks for huge ships to come in. So I got this massive one up here. I like it. It's really kind of cool. It's like a spoke wheel with different, ships could come in. I really like the Terran design luxury dock. It's got 4 medium landing pads and 10 small. But you can go with whatever you want. 3M, that's what these stand for. So 3 dock E would stand for 3 docks of large ship, right? 3M means 3 medium, 6 standard, or 6 small, sorry. And it's a standard dock, so it's no frills. It's just working man's dock. And then there's the luxury variant that's nicer, better lighting, maybe ads and stuff like that. And then here's what you'll find on a lot of stations. They'll just have space for 1 medium ship right there in the middle, and then 6 small. There'll be 3 on either side for landing. Now, there's all sorts of different ones for the different races, so just kind of going over that quick. Welfare modules, I've not actually gotten this far yet, so this is something new I've not played with. Habitation modules, this is simply where your workforce lives. The bigger your station becomes, the more workforce you're going to require. And they come in different variants, large, medium, and small. There are storage modules. It's just what it sounds like. I'm very surprised to find the Protecteon shield being considered a storage module, although in a way it does make sense because you need Protecteon. It's with the new Tides of Avarice DLC, and you need this for your ship to not, your station to not explode. Basically, every now and then there'll be a solar eruption, and you need this shield, and it needs to be fueled by Protecteon. Anyways, so moving right along, and then we have our most importantly is the production modules. Now, some of these are generic. You'll notice that there is no faction owning it, right? Some of them are tied to a specific faction. Now, why is this important? Because Claytronics doesn't care if it's Hop or this or that. They don't have a different variant. It's just Claytronics, right? But let's look at, let's say, Terran MREs, right? The Terrans aren't going to be able to eat the food the Pyramids are eating, right? That's why it's faction related, and the process to make the Terran MREs is going to require protein paste. Again, unique to the Terrans. So if it's not something unique to a specific race, the blueprint will just be a generic blueprint that is, it is what it is. It's always going to look like that. Now, a very easy way to obtain these blueprints, we're going to go over this, will be the final part, and then I'm going to, transition right into the next video, kind of. But you, as I said earlier, you can buy them from the factions as you get the rep up. This can take you a very, very long time and be extremely expensive. Or you can make spacesuit EMPs, right? So let me show you what that looks like. Since I'm in my station, I'll unpause my game, get up. Alright, so let's go to a trader's corner. Any trader's corner, doesn't matter. The reason I have so many of them is because I have a lot of docks here. And you're going to go right here to a crafting bench. You're going to want to make this thing right here, which requires you to have lodestones, remote detonators, secure containers. Secure containers, you'll find these often from firefights. There'll be drops, lodestones as well, but you can sometimes buy these from vendors, especially at like the shady. Good spot to look for these would be black markets on stations if you currently, and I'll show you actually that. That's another thing I'll show. This is so important though, these EMPs, because if we look at this, the device will trigger will cause a small electromagnetic explosion, of course. Noticeable structural damage. The EMP is small enough to be fired from a handheld weapon. You will deploy this from your spacesuit, right? It requires a precise aim to be effective, as the pulse will only cripple very nearby computer and electronic systems. Now, here's the thing though. What's so special about this is when you launch it, you're definitely going to piss the station off that you did it on. But the module you want, so let's say it's a hull part you want, production facility. When you launch that EMP, it'll launch and stick like a sticky bomb. You'll right click it and then detonate it, and it'll create 4 data leaks. There's 2 different types of data in the game. Hope you may be aware or not aware. If you have problems, let me know and I'll explain more about that. But there's a signal or voice data leak, and then an actual, I think, signal data leak. So they look different. This will be for the voice ones are always somebody offering you a job. The other ones are like giving you discounts from the station or something like that. In this case, it's very unique. You've created an explosion on that particular module. It creates 4 of those. One of those 4 is guaranteed to give you the blueprint for that, so it's free, right? You're gonna piss off the faction a little, but when you're talking things you're definitely gonna want to nail are large habitation modules, because those things are insanely expensive. So yeah, just use this to get what you need. I'm going to in a minute here. Well, after I do these videos, because there's a couple areas I need more production wear facilities, and I don't currently have them. I don't own the blueprints to make them, so I'm absolutely going to go out and EMP and get them, because I can't afford to buy them right now. But to show you, sometimes these traders, I don't know if it's my trader. Wow, way to just like
hello there, can I help?
Render in super slow.
Here you go.
So you can see here, no, she has no, this is me selling, so she has no, she does have a lodestone, so I'll just go ahead and buy that from her. It's always different, right? So we'll hit confirm here. Now let's show you what a black marketer looks like. So let me find a black market. Fix my map a little bit here. Okay, so I know that I think I have a ship parked, and this will come into like some tips and tricks. I'll go over some of that. I have ships parked at locations that are important. That way I can just teleport. Okay, this little icon with the shady guy with the glasses right there indicates that there is a black market here. So I'm going to teleport to the ship because I currently have the research developed to do that. So boom. I just send these ships out, bare minimum, nothing else, and they're just literally teleport location spawns for me. It's like a fast travel, means of fast traveling for me. You'll now have a new location called the Mar, so go to the Mar. Now you unlock these guys by doing missions for the station. You'll find a voice leak, and then yeah, you'll unlock the guy. Now you'll look for the dude. He's got the little shady icon above his head. There we go. This dude.
Can I help? Here you go.
And he'll sell all sorts of fun blow-up-y things. So we're just gonna go ahead and oh wow, look at that. I'm really hurting. Well, you get the idea. So you know, here I can buy the wares to make something. Down here he will actually sell me these let me get started module. Oh wow, cool. Anyways, yeah, so it's really cool to have access to black market. I'm so broke.
Here you go.
And then if you build up your reputation with this faction, you'll be able to buy lots of illegal stuff from this guy. So this is where you would start doing like illegal runs if you wanted. To me, it's just not worth it because you got to deal with, you know, faction police and you know all that, lead to a loss in rep. Wow, who's this guy? Oh, split. So if they're blue, they're friendly. If they're red or purple or like this or pink or whatever, sorry, not purple, pink, it means that they're like, yeah, no, we don't want anything really kind of to do with you. But they're not at the point of wanting to shoot you, if that makes sense. So I think right there I've kind of covered it. We've gone over like basics. How do you get your blueprint? How do you set your plot up? We've gone over all that. In the next video we're going to cover the actual building process, how that works, what's all entailed, and I hope to see you in the next video. Please, any questions, comments, elaborations, I'll happily answer them down in the comment section below. Until then, happy gaming, and catch you in the next video.